What's up, Grayson Report? How's everyone doing? Happy Thursday. I know a lot of you came from a nerd report celebrating Lewis's birthday, but what is up, Tammy, Delia Lux, Wendy, Rochelle? Thank you for gifting 2 memberships, Rochelle, before I even went on. Hearts for Rochelle, guys. Thank you, Rochelle. I hope you're still on somewhere. Shaz77, what is up? Matthew, Jennifer Marie, Marcella, Project Metal Music, A up, Julissa, Kyle, Bernadette, Dusty. As I scroll down, guys, hold on. And as well, thank you for gifting 5 memberships right when I was starting the stream. So hearts for Anne as well. And welcome Janae, Lloyd, Peanuts, Marsha, and Lorraine to the Wolfpack. Hearts to Anne and all the new Wolfpack members as well. Heather, whatever, what is up? Kyle, how's it going? Emily Parkinson's, what is up? How's everyone doing? And how was your week so far? Matthew goes, I broke my laptop screen, got a height adjustable monitor earlier today. Sorry, I must have kicked the camera because I just saw it shook. So I apologize. I have a tendency of kicking the camera. Oh my God, phone. Nerd Report is in the chat, and it is his birthday today for any of you that missed it. Hold on, let me turn this off. Chris is stressing by watching football. What is up, Chris? Lisa Boo, what is up? Anyone do any Nerd Report go support Lisa for my birthday? We'll wait a few more minutes before I get into the nitty-gritty of what I have today. But anyone do anything interesting over the week or watched anything interesting? I haven't had a chance to do anything this week. Because I was trying to set up my computer for my decks, and the MacBook did not want to see my deck, so I was dealing with that, and I didn't get a chance to do anything else. Emily, thank you for gifting 5 memberships as well. Welcome, Vixen, Tyranna, Heather, whatever, Mr. Spock, and Hug back to the Wolfpack. Hearts for Emily and the returning Wolfpack members. Thank you, Emily. And goes, I like your new glasses. Thank you. I did get new glasses. They finally came in. I can see better. I did notice, though, when I'm trying to see my cell phone, though, with these glasses on, it's kind of hard to see, but they're not meant for reading. And I opted not to get the reading part because I can read without them. But I do notice with my cell phone, I now have to have it like out like here to see it. If that makes any sense. I am super behind when it comes to movies. I haven't watched any movies at all. I did see Trapped, and we all know what that's about. That was probably M. Night's worst movie. I'm not going to give any spoilers. If you guys do want to brave it, it is on Max. It's one of his worst movies. There was also a movie that one of his daughters had done too that was on Max. It was called The Watchers, and it was okay, but it wasn't the greatest. So I don't think it's M. Night's year. Wendy goes, Wendy, I didn't get the progressives. Because I usually like M. Night's movies, but this one was just, yeah. Not to say that Josh Hartnett didn't do a bad job, because he did a good job, but like what Jennifer Marie said over at Nerd Report, like there was a scene where he takes his shirt off and shows his 4 packs. That was unnecessary. I mean, I got the point of probably he took it off because he didn't want I'm not gonna give it away because I know some of you didn't see it, but Dusty watched Grumpy Old Men last night. As always, guys, Skeleduck is somewhere in my background. Thank you, Matthew, for reminding me because sometimes I don't say it. If you don't know what the hell I'm talking about, Skeleduck is pictured in my upper left-hand corner, might be your upper right-hand corner. That is what he looks like. I do hide him no matter what studio I am in. I've been in this one mostly lately, but I do hide him if I do remember him to bring him, and I did remember to bring him. But he is somewhere in this studio in my background. Just remind me by the end of the stream. And I will reveal his location because sometimes I forget. Matthew's rewatching the Ally McBeal series. Curious Potato, what is up? Glad you could make it. Emily Parkinson goes, I haven't seen it yet, but The Village sucked. I know there was another one that he did. I don't know if I don't remember The Village. I have to rewatch that one. I don't remember that one, but I think I have to rewatch them because there's some of them I've seen and I don't remember them. There's another one that I didn't like that he did, but I don't remember what. Maybe it was that. I don't know which one it was. Well, I wait a few more minutes. I'm going to share this article with y'all. This is Stephen King's 10 best ghost stories rank. I wasn't a big reader when it came to Stephen King. Oh yeah, guys, if you're new to the channel and you have just found me, I do mostly all things spooky, paranormal, strange and unusual, UFOs, aliens with a little true crime. I always say that true crime is hand in hand, so you may see a true crime article. Like on a previous stream, I did talk about the true that Jeepers Creepers was based on true events. Scream was based on true events. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre was based on true events. The X-Files, some of the episodes were based on some similar events, believe it or not. So if you are new here, that is what I talk about sometimes, or most of the times. But I try to keep it spooky all year round, not just in October. It's one of my passions. I do put a little movie news in there, and I do some current events as well at the beginning of the stream. With Stephen King, I am a fan of the movies that have been based on his books, but I never really read one of his books because at the time when I was younger, I was not much of a book reader. Older in life, after high school, I did get into books and I would be reading books all the time. I think I read in 1 year, I read like 11 books. I was crazy with books. I just found a passion for them, and I kind of went out on it, but it was during a time where I could just lose myself in the book, and I'm grateful for that time for all the books that I read. I mean, I was a big Divergent fan. That was kind of my book. It still is one of my favorites. But Stephen King, like I said, his books were this big, and I do have some of his books that I had found at a like a Goodwill. So I have Pet Cemetery, I have Bag of Bones, I think I have a lot of his books, but I've never read them because I always saw the big thickness of it. I was like, hell no. But I am a fan of his movies. This is Stephen King's 10 best ghost stories ranked. Author Stephen King has been at the center of a horror genre for decades now, and among his catalog of amazing books, some of his best stories are those about ghosts. Like any other genre, horror has many tropes and storylines to choose from, and ghost stories are one of them. Typically, a traditional ghost story will see a person being haunted by a ghost or many ghosts, and this leads them into spooky scenarios. Sometimes these tales get even scarier when the ghost inhabits a person or object. Either way, ghost stories can definitely keep readers up at night. And I'm always going to say the book is always better because you can you're reading about the person's thoughts instead of seeing it being acted on screen. Like you're in their head, and I kind of like that about a book. Over the years, King has written more than 70 novels, which means he has explored pretty much every trope in the book, from demons to psychic abilities to horrifying curses. King's books often get to the core of humanity's scariest folk tales and fears, all in very unique ways. Also, Stephen King is obsessed with the state of Maine. A lot of his books take place in Maine. It's a place I've always wanted to go to. Therefore, King has quite a few ghostly stories in his repertoire, both in his novels and his short stories. The following 10 King stories can be considered some of the best ghost stories he has ever written up to this point. So if you're looking for something to read, check these out. Sneakers. A man finds a pair of haunted sneakers. Huh. I don't think I've ever heard of this one. One solid ghost story from King is the short story Sneakers. That's probably something it's short story. This 1989 tale follows a man named John who works at a recording studio. While using the bathroom, John discovers a pair of old, dirty sneakers that he has never seen before. Over the next few days, John notices the shoes moving around and collecting flies and insects. Eventually, John discovers who the sneakers really belong to, and worse, that his workplace is hiding a murderous secret. Sneakers was first published in a story compilation, Dark Visions. Sneakers is not King's most shocking or horrifying story, but it is still entertaining and unique. Where other King books include hundreds of pages of backstory and lore, Sneaker is as straightforward as it gets. A man runs into a ghost and discovers a secret. What sets Sneakers apart is the fact that the story relies on an unexpected object in an unexpected place. King gives the traditional ghost story a special flair in Sneakers. I don't think anybody would ever think that Sneakers would be haunted, so that's kind of interesting. Joyland, an amusement park. I believe this is the book I crossed that out. I did read a Stephen King book, and I think this is the book. I love this book. Probably loved this book. So if you guys haven't read this book, I had so much fun reading it. Amusement park is being haunted in more than one way. Another King ghost story that goes beyond what is expected is Joyland, a more recent King project. Joyland is a 2013 novel that centers on a young man named Devin who begins working summer jobs at an amusement park called Joyland. There, Devin learns about a horrific murder that occurred at the park and the woman who allegedly continues haunting the place. However, Devin soon realizes that this murder is not just a thing of the past, but could affect him in the present day. Joyland doesn't focus completely on ghosts, as murder plays a big part in the novel as well, but it can definitely still be categorized as a ghost story. It isn't necessarily that Devin is haunted by an actual spirit, but it is that he is haunted by the case of the spirit and what it means today. King shows how hauntings can happen in various ways and how ghost stories can actually have real life consequences. Thus, Joyland isn't just a scary story, but a life lesson. Lisa Boo has read Joyland. She says it's a good one. Curious Potato goes, I remember reading a King story where he spent 3 pages describing what was on shop shelves. Wendy goes, I'm old as dirt. Lisa, I like the OG King. Curious Potato also says, I did feel King's other stories were long-winded, though, but opinions are irrelevant. He's so successful. Emily Parkinson's goes, 2 of my favorite Stephen King is Stand By Me and Green Mile. What's up, Rochelle? Jennifer Marie, how's it going? Matthew, Christine, of course, we know Matthews. Christine is my favorite. I do have that book as well in my closet. I haven't read it, but I have the book. Duma Key, an artist, is possessed. One King novel where the ghost is front and center is Duma Key. In the 2008 book, a contractor moves to a beach house on the Florida coast after suffering a traumatic accident, which lead to brain damage and an amputated arm. The contract begins making Oh, the contract? Yeah, the contract begins making art as a form of therapy, but soon discovers that he has gained psychic abilities, wherein his paintings can change reality. Yet, this exciting ability turns dark when he discovers who or what is actually behind it. What is even better is that the book's central villain is not just a nameless ghost, but has a backstory that is as interesting as the present day storyline. Like Sneakers, Doomakey is not your typical horror story, which might take place in a haunted house or a cemetery. Doomakey has a beautiful beach setting and an unexpected character at its center, but it still manages to be frightening. What is even better is that the book's central villain is not just a nameless ghost, but has a backstory that is interesting as the present day, as I read above. In this way, Doomakey offers a riveting and fast-paced ghost story for those of you that like ghost stories. Sometimes they come back. Sometimes they come back. Another notable short story surrounding ghosts is King's Sometimes They Come Back. Originally published in 74, the story is about a man whose brother was killed in a brutal beating in the 50s. Then 20 years later, the man finds himself face to face with his brother's attackers once again, yet they haven't aged a day since the murder. Woo. The man must figure out why these ghosts are reappearing and what their intentions is with him and his peers. As the title says, Sometimes They Come Back answers the question of what happens when bad people return from the afterlife, intent on destruction. Unlike Sneakers, this story is a bit fuller and has more tragic and horrifying consequences. It is truly chilling to watch the protagonist reunite with those who caused the greatest loss of his life. Sometimes They Come Back as a satisfying and dark story within King's impressive catalog. Sometimes They Come Back seriously sounds familiar. Christine, which is Matthew's favorite, a notable King novel with a ghostly element, is Christine. This 1983 book follows friends Arnie and Dennis as they purchase a 1958 Plymouth Fury named Christine. Arnie quickly becomes obsessed with the car while Dennis gets a bad feeling about it. Soon enough, Christine begins to affect Arnie, and not only that, but exhibits behaviors that prove she is more than just a car. Dennis must work out who's possessing the car before it is too late for his friends. If you guys have not checked out Salem's Lot, which is on Max, you might keep your eyes peeled for a Easter egg. Christine does appear in there. I'm sure there's more Easter eggs that I didn't catch, but Christine does appear in it. So if you haven't seen Salem's Lot, check it out. I did enjoy it. It is on Max. There are, like I said, there are a lot more Easter eggs that I didn't catch. I know Matthew had told me some and I missed them when I saw it the first time, but I did see Christine. So keep your eyes peeled. The concept of a conscious car isn't necessarily new, but the way King employs the trope of horror is impressive. Watching Arnie change under the powers of Christine is incredibly creepy, and it's easy. It is an easy route for Dennis, who seems something is wrong, or who sensed something is wrong right from the very beginning. Furthermore, having a car as a villain leads to some pretty intriguing power dynamic and scenes. Overall, Christine is the perfect King book for fans of possession stories. There's also that's not the first car movie. I think, what was it? The first one was The Car, I think it was called, if I'm not and then there was Maximum Overdrive, I believe, because I know Matthew had mentioned Maximum Overdrive, if I'm not mistaken. I have not seen that one yet, and it's on my list. The Reach, a woman comes face to face with the afterlife. One story that is as heartfelt as it's eerie is The Reach. The 1981 short story is set on Goat Island, where 95-year-old Stella was never left, or has never left. However, Stella's cancer begins to rear its ugly head and she realizes her life is finally coming to an end. Stella is convinced to cross the Reach, a segment of frozen lakes that separate the island from the mainland. On her quest, Stella reunites her loved ones who have already passed away. Ghost stories can certainly be scary, but they can also be emotional. The Reach mixes the two feelings. While it is certainly unsettling to see an old woman trekking to her inevitable death, it is also sweet to watch her reunite with those she loved who have come to usher her to her grave. The Reach is one of those stories that tries to provide some comfort around the idea of death, and King succeeds in offering this feeling through this meaningful story. Curious Potato goes Maximum Overdrive is awesome. Rochelle, I did not know that. Just found out Max is included with the DoorDash subscription. That's kind of cool. Curious Potato goes adaptations of King's stories seem to be either great or not so great. I mean, crap. I was being polite. Matthew's also mentioning there was a Twilight Zone episode, had a car go by itself along with other electrical items like a shaver. I don't remember that one. Later. Though many may not have heard of this book, Later is a King ghost story defined worth checking out. Definitely worth checking out. I got new glasses. I'm still reading things wrong. Later centers on Jamie Conklin, a young boy who had the ability to see and speak to the dead. Jamie represents his powers and yearns for a normal life, or resents his powers. Oh my God, I still can't read. Resents his powers and yearns for a normal life, but he seems to always find his way in trouble. His life gets even more risky when an NYPD officer tries to use Jamie to help solve a crime committed from beyond the grave. Characters who can speak to the dead are one awesome trope within the ghost story genre. King's character Jamie is intriguing not only because of his ability, but because of how he feels about it and the way it affects those around him. Later is not just a ghost story, but a novel about crime, morality, and the loss of innocence. Those who have enjoyed King's other young characters will probably find a lot to love in this book. 1408, which they did have a movie about. One, I think it had John Cusack in it, if I'm not mistaken. One final King short story surrounding Ghost. I don't remember 1408. It's been a while. I think it was one of those movies I watched once and I didn't go back to it. It wasn't bad. I never thought it was bad, but it's one of those things where I never went back to watch. The story centers on Mike, a writer who specializes in ghosts. Despite not believing in the supernatural for a project, Mike decides to stay in what is considered to be one of the most haunted hotel rooms in America. I think a lot of people do that. Despite Mike's superstitions, he ends up remaining in the room for only a brief period of time after finding himself in a horrifying hellscape. 1408 may be one of the most explicitly scary ghost stories that King has written. It is not just tension that King builds, but visuals that stick with readers as much as they stick to the protagonist. 1408 deploys its scares in ways that audience may not expect, which in turn makes them even creepier. Ultimately, 1408 is the closest King gets to a traditional haunted house story. The Shining, which is probably one of his most notable movies, with the twins. Come play with us, Danny. What is likely King's most popular ghost story, and it also has Jack Nicholson. He did an amazing job. Is The Shining. His second ever published novel, The Shining, follows Jack Torrance as he takes a job as an off-screen caretaker at the Overlook Hotel. The Shining was based on Stephen King's experience at I just went blank. The hotel in Colorado. I had a brain fart. Oh my God, I had a brain fart. Sometimes that happens. The Stanley Hotel, sorry guys, which is in Colorado. Jack brings along his young son Danny and his wife Wendy. Though Jack attempts to be a responsible father and husband fighting against his alcoholism, he quickly begins losing control due to supernatural forces within the hotel. There's a reason why The Shining is so well loved among horror fans. This book is full of haunting images and scenes that have become iconic parts of popular culture. From the creepy twins in the elevator of blood to Jack yelling, "Here's Johnny." The Shining is a powerhouse and then the red rum scene. Of course, the ghosts play a massive part in this. The Shining supernatural forces are the foundation of Jack's reign of terror. Number 1 was Bag of Bones. I remember seeing this and I didn't really like it, to be honest with you. It was like a TV movie. Finally, King's best ghost story of all time is Bag of Bones, published in 1998. The novel follows Mac Noonan, a writer who is struggling to work after the unexpected death of his wife. As a result, Mike travels to his lake house to try and grieve and get his spark back. However, Mike soon becomes obsessed with a young girl in town and worse, finds himself haunted by the ghost of his deceased wife. Bag of Bones is exactly what one would expect from a King novel. There is a traumatized protagonist, an eerie lake house setting, and a complex set of storylines that blend and diverge into a spider web of questions that are eventually answered in one climatic moment. One all the ghosts in King's story, Bag of Bones Ghosts may be one of the best. Ultimately, this is the beloved Stephen King book that most people should check out, especially if they're looking for a spooky read. And I do have this book, and it is that thick. I have not read it though, but like I said earlier, I did see I think it was a TV movie. I did not like it. Like I don't even think I finished it. Because I kind of found it boring. But at least I did. I don't know if anyone else did. Lisa Bugo's books are usually better than the movie. Makes your subconscious work. I do agree with you on that one, Lisa Boo. Jennifer Marie goes, my book club is doing Cujo this month. That is cool, Jennifer Marie. Dusty goes, The Shining is the only one I've seen. Thank you, Anne and Emily, for the Stanley Hotel that I had a brain fart. And guys, if you guys, Heather, whatever reminded me, if you're looking for stuff to watch, if you do have a Walmart Plus subscription, you do get Paramount Plus with it, if you did not know. Because Paramount has some cool movies sometimes that I check out there. Rochelle goes, I felt so bad for Cujo. I feel that way. It's funny. I haven't finished watching Penguin because we're waiting for Lewis's mom to come back to watch it. But there's been times where I'm like, oh my God, don't do anything to Oz. And I'm like, wait a minute. He's supposed to be the bad guy. Why am I rooting for him? But that's how well he portrays that character. Like you feel for him. Like he makes them like you don't think of him as a Batman villain when you're watching it. You think of him as a human being that had went through struggles and worked hard to get. I mean, obviously he's a criminal, but he worked hard to get where he's at, and he's not going to let it go, type of thing. And you kind of feel for him. We're like, oh my God, don't kill him. Oh my God. So I get it when when people say that. Bernadette goes, Penguin is the number one bad guy. You want to win the game. Exactly. Like you feel bad for him, especially because you see his backstory and how he takes care of his mom and like he kind of cares for people. Even though he's a criminal, he does care for people. I mean, he'll use the other people to his advantage, but there are parts of him that do care. And it's like, it's crazy. But Colin Farrell does an amazing job. So, guys, have any of you heard of the story of Linda Napolitano? She was a New York housewife who was allegedly abducted by aliens. If you're new to the channel, I know most of you know how I feel about aliens. I'm more of a believer when it comes to the paranormal. I've never actually had a paranormal, like a paranormal experience where like something moved on the table or a door opening. But I've heard knocks on the wall. I've had weird dreams. So I've always been more open to the paranormal than I have with aliens. I do believe that there are life on other planets. I want to believe, but it's just because of social media, how with technology we have nowadays, and it does happen with paranormal too. I do question it as well. Um, that people are posting videos. There's a UFO here. Oh, check out this video. Did I catch something like a ghost? And it ends up being like lens flare or something like that, or something looks very good, and you're like, well, they could have edited that in. I know some of the ghost shows that we do see, they do edit things in, so it makes me kind of hard to believe if something's real or not. And that is the exact same thing when it comes to aliens. I mean, I if you did have an experience, you guys are lucky to have an experience, because I hope to see a UFO one day. I've never seen one, never had an alien encounter. Um, I do feel like some people, and it's kind of sad, because when someone actually does have that experience, you're gonna question it, and I feel bad for it because of what other people have done in the past. Um, if I saw it and I took a video and I was like, "Oh, check this out. Look at what I saw in my backyard. It is a UFO. Look, it's not moving." People would question it, which is nothing wrong with questioning things. Nothing wrong at all. It's good to be skeptical when it comes to investigating things, because you're more open to things instead of jumping to conclusions. Because when you believe in something, you're going to think every noise is a ghost, or you're going to think everything you see in the sky is a UFO. So there's nothing wrong with being skeptical. Nothing wrong at all. I feel like someone who's skeptical makes the best investigator. So this comes to this story. Bernadette goes, go to Hollywood, you'll see aliens everywhere. The Mod Squad, what is up? Lisa Boo goes, did you see the new Paranormal series on Netflix? No. I've been out. Lisa Boo, I've seriously have been out of the loop. I've been trying. I mean, I caught up on some of my programs, but I've been behind, and I did see some on Netflix, but I missed that one. Wendy goes, I've never seen an alien, but paranormal experiences. Curious Potato, I've just been watching the latest 2 episodes. Don't give it away, Curious Potato. Julissa goes, I don't think I've heard of her. Lisa Boo goes, sounds familiar, but I'm not sure. Matthew, you probably have heard. Matthew hears about a lot of things, so I have a feeling maybe you have, or you've seen it somewhere. Jules, what is up? Wendy goes, what are you currently watching, Lisa? Basically what I've kind of been watching before we get into the story, what I've kind of been catching up on is, like, because I like to watch a lot of true crime stories. So I'll watch like The Evil Within on Max. I think it's called The Evil Within. And it's weird because it's a lot of stories that are crime of passion type stories. Don't ask me why I'm watching those, but it's usually it's usually a story about someone's family member doing unaliving someone, or someone's boyfriend unaliving them, or and you get to hear the story from their daughter, and it's sad, or like a stepfather doing this to their mom, or whatever it may be. But it seems to be mostly it's weird. It seems mostly to be crime of passion type thing, where the mother's trying to leave and then the boyfriend isn't having anything of it, and something bad happens, and then you see their kid, and it's like you feel bad for them, because it's like, dude, like, how could this happen? And they talk about the person, showing how great that person is. So I've been watching stuff like that. I kind of watch 90 Day Fiance. Don't laugh at me. I kind of like watching those, because those women sometimes, and what they fight about is crazy. And I think I find it fascinating just to watch them, because I'm like, dude, I don't know why I find that fascinating, but I do. So I've been watching that. Netflix, I've been behind on. There's been things I've been wanting to watch that I haven't gotten to. I saw a program that I was watching in the past that came back, and I was like, oh. So I will, Lisa Boo, I will see if I can find that paranormal show on there, because that sounds interesting. Lisa Boo goes, I watch it too. It's fascinating. Okay, I'm not the only one. Dusty, how's it going? But that's kind of what I've been watching. I haven't gotten into any movies. Like I know there's movies that are coming out. I know Alien Romulus was on VOD. I don't know when it's coming on streaming. I know Terrifier 3 will be hitting VOD around November 26th by the end of this month. So I'm not I'm not I'm not sure as what else is going on. I know Shudder has some things that I saw pop up in one of my feeds, like check these out. But I've been kind of out of the loop when it comes. I just haven't had a chance to really deep dive into my Netflix like I normally do or Max. I've just been kind of, picking and choosing, I guess, what I watch. But this is the story of Linda Napolitano. She was a New York housewife who was allegedly abducted by aliens. I have never heard of her. This story just happened to pop up, and I was like, huh. Linda Napolitano claimed that 3 aliens abducted her from her Manhattan apartment and beamed her into their ship on November 30th, 1989. Her story was allegedly corroborated by 23 witnesses, but even some of the most staunch alien believers are skeptical. I think even if I saw it, I would still remain skeptical. I'd be like, what did I just see? So I don't blame people. I'd be shocked. I know there's people that have abduction stories. I'm still skeptical when it comes to abduction stories because I'm 50-50 when it comes to it. I don't dismiss it though, because what do we do when we find something new? We test it, we examine it. And by the sound of like the abduction stories I have read, it sounds like the exact same thing that's what they're doing. So it makes sense. They don't know who we are. If we found an alien, we'd do the exact same thing. And it would be a horrific experience for them on the other side. So, I find it plausible that that's a possibility because I'm sure if they are coming to Earth, they are taking animals. They are taking, plants. They're studying Earth. I don't know why they would want to come here because if I heard the transmissions, like how Superman flies above Earth and he can hear everyone talking. I feel like the aliens could do that too. And if I were an alien, I would stay away. That's just me. But I get it. I find it plausible that they are coming to Earth, collecting, testing, trying to figure out our planet. Because this is something new to them. They don't know anything about it. We would do the same if we ended up on another planet as well. So it makes sense to me, but I still feel like I need a little bit more proof when it comes to it. And even if I saw it, because I saw Jennifer Marie goes, yeah, no way I'm believing this one. Even if I saw it, I would probably think it was a movie. Fuzz, what is up? Bernadette goes by, but why probe us don't they have an x-ray to check us out? They probably have way better technology than we do. So I don't know why they would probe us. I feel like they would have this machine where you're just there and they would already know like everything about us type of thing without even touching us. That's how I feel about it. Fuzz, that's what I'm thinking. The aliens probably lock their doors when they fly by us. Exactly. They'll be like, hell no, these people are crazy. What the heck are they broadcasting? Who is this P. Diddy person? What the heck? If it was the other day during the presidential election, they would have been like, oh, hell no. You know what I mean? Like just the stuff, or if they ended up, tapping into a like a police scanner or something, and all the stuff they would hear. I would imagine that they wouldn't want to come here because I wouldn't. Vixen, what is up? Bernadette goes, I think aliens are just freaks. But here, pictured here is Linda Napolitano. Linda Napolitano, and I'm probably saying her last name wrong. No, I think it's right. Was a typical housewife living in Manhattan with her husband and 2 children. But everything changed on November 30th, 1989, when she claims 3 gray bipedal creatures abducted her from her 12th floor apartment. I know the typical alien is like what we saw in the X-Files in a lot in Signs, the M. Night Shyamalan film. A lot of the depictions of aliens look like this. They're either gray, they're bipedal, tall. Even the Las Vegas family, which I didn't believe, them too, they said they had these large bipedal, big eyes, round face. Like, I don't have my alien here in this studio, but like the alien, there is one behind me. But like that's what the typical alien is described as. But how do we know that's what they look like? I know that's what people say they look like, but how do we know that they look like? It could be like in the movie, what is it? They Live. They could be among us already. They could look like us, but when you put on these special glasses, you could see the crazy. There's a Funko Pop behind me somewhere for it. But when you look through these special glasses, like Roddy Piper did, he saw who the aliens were. So how do we not know they're walking among us already? So like I've always been kind of I always question that because I know that is what the movies put on. That's what I've read about. That's kind of every alien story I've read, except for one. It was like kind of weird. It looked like an alien where the alien went to the gym. A lot of aliens look like they've gone to the gym because they have a 12-pack. But I still question that because what if that's not what they do look like? What if it's completely different? What if they look like us? Like in V or in They Live. V, they had our skin, but on the underneath, they were lizards. So, I mean, but she claims 3 gray bipedal creatures abducted her from the 12th floor apartment. Napolitano said she was then paralyzed and lifted through a blue beam of light into a spaceship where the aliens performed experiments on her before returning her to her bedroom. Napolitano's alleged abduction was widely publicized by ufologist Bud Hopkins, who claims that 23 witnesses had seen Napolitano rising through the sky and into a UFO near the Brooklyn Bridge that night. I wonder what time it occurred at, including an important government official rumored to be a UN Secretary General or the UN Secretary General, Javier Perez de Cuellar. If I was hallucinating, Napolitano told Vanity Fair in 2013, then the witness saw my hallucination. That sounds crazier than the whole abduction phenomenon. But some have called the story's credibility in question, pointing out that most of the alleged witnesses' identities have never been verified. Still, Napolitano's case continues to captivate alien enthusiasts to this day, so much so that her story will once again be explored in a new Netflix documentary, Manhattan Alien Abduction. So, there were 23 witnesses, but they haven't been verified. So that kind of makes me question it. But obviously, the person involved is going to put her foot down and say, yeah, I was abducted by aliens. I don't think I would want anyone knowing that I was abducted by aliens. It's like these women that go on, or even they're men too, that marry dolls or marry ghosts. I don't know why they would do that. I would never tell anyone or people. There's celebrities that have gone on that they've had, sex with ghosts. I've said it in previous streams. I don't know why anyone would go on the record saying that. I don't think I would. I wouldn't want the world thinking I was crazy. Even if it did happen, I would keep it to myself. I would not tell the world. I feel like these women, even the men, it's not just women, but I feel like these people, they have another agenda. Like they want the attention. They're trying to promote their brand. They're trying to something. I feel like there's some hidden agenda when it comes to these things. I like to be in my corner. I don't like people. I wouldn't want the entire world knowing that I got abducted. Unless it was like an abducted, like say like it was a group for people who've been abducted, then that's a different story. Because then you can share stories. Maybe it's something, your experience that you have and you have to share. If that did happen to me, then yeah, that would be someplace I would say, but not. I wouldn't go straight to the news. Go, oh my god, I was abducted, and there was 23 witnesses, none of which have been verified. But to each his own. I know some people don't care. They want the world to know. So Jennifer Murray goes, she wants more cult followers. I mean, attention. Lisa Boo goes, it's coming this week. Investigation Alien on Netflix. Oh, cool. Dusty, I agree. If you are under the influence, a figure might be a hallucination. Exactly. Jennifer Burrigo sounds like a mutual acid hallucination to start the foundation for the next cult. Curious Potato goes, true Lisa, all the aliens I've met looked like a blobfish. Heather Whatever goes, aliens buy baby oil for souvenir. Fuzz goes, the aliens could be super tiny like in Twilight Zone. Yeah, you never know. Emily goes, or we're so messed up that they want to get rid of us. You never know. You never know. Or they're looking for another place to live. We don't know. Curse Potato goes, typical housewife, of course. Wendy goes, sounds like a bad shroom trip. So Linda Napolitano floats through the Manhattan sky at around 3 a.m. How is there 23 witnesses? At around 3 a.m. on November 30th, 1989. What day was November 30th? It was on a Thursday. So Thursday, November 30th, 1989 at 3 a.m. is when the incident occurred. Linda Napolitano claimed she was sleeping next to her husband when she suddenly jolted awake. In her bones, she could feel that something wasn't right, that something was in the room with her. When she looked around, she allegedly saw a group of small gray beings standing over her, staring at her with black eyes. Also, too, she could have been having a dream. Because there's been times where I've woken up and I didn't know where I was, type of thing. So it could have been a dream, too. By Napolitano's account, the aliens told her to be quiet in some strange telepathic language, and she found herself paralyzed and unable to call out to her husband for help. I know they also in a lot of movies they do this. They do kind of mention this where when they're being abducted they can't move. So she could have also gotten the idea from a movie. Napolitano claimed a bright blue beam then shone through her window and lifted her body off her bed out into the night sky into a large oval-shaped spaceship. Once inside, the creatures brought her into an examination room where they laid her on a table and inserted a strange metallic device into her nose, which has also been shown on the X-Files. Scully was a victim of, I don't know if you consider a victim, but she was abducted and she also had a metallic device put in her nose, like a tracking device of some sort is what they kind of describe it. So, I mean, she could have gotten it from there because I know a lot of movies show that too as well. And the X-Files is fictional. Some of it is because I know the last stream we did do, there were 10 episodes that were based on true stories. Then Napolitano woke up in her bed next to her husband as if nothing had happened. At first, Napolitano wrote off this terrifying ordeal as an incredibly vivid dream. Soon after, however, she noticed a curious lump in her nose. She said she visited a doctor to inspect it, and an x-ray allegedly taken of her nasal passages appeared to show that there really was something lodged inside it. Later, a throat and nose specialist allegedly examined Napolitano and found that the object was gone, but that there was a buildup of cartilage that suggested something had been lodged there recently. Napolitano took her story to Bud Hopkins, an artist and ufologist with decades of experiences researching alien phenomenon. In 1996, Hopkins published a book about Napolitano's story titled Witness, and soon Linda Napolitano was making headlines. Alleged witnesses to the Manhattan alien abduction come forward. Curious Potato also mentions sleep paralysis, a known thing. Doesn't mean aliens or devils exactly. I had spoke about sleep paralysis about in a previous stream, and they mentioned the Hat Man, because a Hat Man is always when I'm watching like someone like Slap Ham, he sometimes mentions the Hat Man, but then they also had mentioned the Hat Man has been seen during a sleep paralysis episode. So very, very possibility, Curious Potato. Jennifer Marie goes, yeah, she was totally tripping while the TV was on. Jennifer Marie goes, you can do shrooms on a Thursday. Fuzz goes 3M. They were all doing so. It seems like a lot of people in the chat think they were up to no good doing some extracurricular activities to cause her to have an hallucination, maybe. Or some other things, not just drugs. Linda Napolitano's case sounds like something straight out of science fiction. However, it differentiates itself from other well-known alien abduction stories. In that, according to Bud Hopkins, nearly 24 people had witnessed this event. Hopkins included their accounts in his book, though he used pseudonyms for most of those involved, including Napolitano herself, whom he called Linda Cortill. According to Hopkins, Napolitano contacted him shortly after her alleged abduction. However, his investigation really began in 1991 when he said he received a mysterious letter from a pair of security guards. In their letter, the men claimed that on the night of November 30th, 1989, they had been parked under FDR Drive when they saw 3 alien figures and a woman in a white gown floating out of an apartment window and into a UFO. The security guards, who called themselves Richard and Dan, said they can't live with ourselves for not helping the women, according to Daily Mail. Guys, not familiar with Daily Mail? It is a UK tabloid site. I do take that site with any tabloid site with a grain of salt, but they do sometimes have great stories on them that I do share. Later, the guards claimed that their client, a prominent world leader who had been visiting New York at the time, had also witnessed the event. Some UFO researchers have since suggested that this politician might have been Javier Perez de Cuellar, the UN Secretary General. After Richard and Dan got in touch with Hopkins and learned that the woman they had seen was alive, they allegedly visited Napolitano at her Manhattan apartment. The men were reportedly emotional upon seeing her, and the 3 spoke as if they'd known each other for years. However, the story soon took a dark turn. She began to fear for her life. Linda Napolitano troubles didn't end after the aliens allegedly returned her to her room. According to Bud Hopkins, Dan began stalking Napolitano soon after meeting her, stalking out her apartment daily. Then in April of 1991, the security guards allegedly Cade Napolitano, forcing her into their car and interrogating her for hours about her alleged abduction, trying to see if she knew more about the aliens than she was letting on. They even had her take off her shoes and show them her toes to prove she wasn't an alien herself. Okay. After this, Hopkins claimed Dan grew increasingly delusional, obsessed with Napolitano. In October 1991, he allegedly kidnapped her again and brought her to the beach house on Long Island. Napolitano told Hopkins that Dan then ordered her to wear a white nightgown similar to the one she had worn the night of the abduction. When she refused to change in front of him, Dan allegedly became frantic and attempted to have S with her, calling her his Lady of the Sand. I think that guy just lost his rocks. Thankfully, Napolitano was able to get away. While she never saw Dan again, she claimed he wrote her letters in which he confessed to being in love with her and to fantasize about kidnapping her. During this time, Napolitano also claimed she was being followed by men in black suits, causing her to fear for her life. Um, I know we always joke about men in black suits. I, yeah. I kind of, because I joke about it too. Um, like people stay quiet because they're afraid that the men in black suits are going to come or the men in black are going to come after them. I mean, I get there probably are some secretive government officials that know more than what they're saying. I just wish the government would come out and say it. Hey, yeah, this is what we got. This is what's happened. Yes, the crash in Roswell was real. I just want them to come out and just, say it. There's too many conspiracy theories and we also had the whistleblower, I believe it was last year, the whistleblower come forward and talk about the stuff that he witnessed. So it's like, just come out and say it. Just come out. We kind of already know, like, just sit in stone and come out straight. I believe that there's some sort of men in black, like secretive government officials, but I don't think they're coming after us. Meanwhile, more people were contacting Hopkins with their accounts of the alleged abduction, and their stories seemed to match Napolitano's. To some alien enthusiasts, the sheer number of witnesses proved that something really did happen that night. However, critics have pointed out that most of these witnesses refused to give interviews or to identify themselves. Hopkins himself admitted to have never met Dan and Richard. Given the lack of concrete evidence, even some of the most devoted believers in UFO believe Linda Napolitano's story to be a hoax. Dusty goes, they wanted to see her toes. I think that guy just became obsessed with her. I don't know, probably when he met her, like something, just some chemistry happened and he just went crazy. Jennifer Marie thinks that Dan was her lover this whole time and the alien thing was just to cover it up so her husband wouldn't know what was really going on. Curious Potato, that's true. The whole alien thing has become almost a religion. What's up, Daniel? How's it going? Carol Carol goes, where were the 23 witnesses? Were they in her bedroom? Kyle goes, we as a society are not ready for the truth. True, Kyle. True. Because I think there's people that are so serious when it comes to UFOs and conspiracies that they kind of lose themselves in it. So Kyle, you do make us, yes, very true. I think there's some people, I mean, I'm down for the truth. Like, I just want the truth. But there are some people that even if given the truth, they won't believe it. So I agree with you, Kyle. I don't think I don't think some of us probably aren't ready. So the legacy of the New York alien abduction. Over the years, Linda Napolitano has stuck to her story, even as people dismissed her as crazy. I'll tell you, she has said, I wish I was psychotic. At least there is treatment for that. Her case purportedly had an immense emotional impact on the alleged witnesses. Like, what witnesses besides Dan and the two security guards and the crazy Dan that Jennifer Marie thinks that she was actually seeing on the side? Which it's not far-fetched to cover up her infidelity to her husband. So she made it an alien thing. It's not far-fetched. I would take it as a possibility. impact on the alleged witnesses and especially on Dan. According to the Skeptics UFO newsletter, Dan's mental health allegedly deteriorated so much that he had to be checked into a mental health facility. As for the diplomat, Richard and Dan had allegedly been guarding that fateful night. That event purportedly rattled him enough that it changed his political priorities. According to the 2022 documentary Linda Napolitano, the alien abduction case of the century, the politician wrote a letter to Hopkins emphasizing the importance of taking care of the planet and begging Hopkins to stop investigating the incident so that the extraterrestrials could continue their grand plan. Linda Napolitano herself suggested that her abduction was meant to draw the attention of world leaders and steer the course of globe politics to focus on environmental sustainability. And Hopkins theorized that Napolitano, Dan, and the diplomat may have even been cosmically tied together to help nudge the diplomat toward protecting the planet. This, Hopkins persisted, would also explain why Dan had such a powerful obsession with Napolitano. But Hopkins died in 2011, temporarily ending the law investigation into Napolitano's abduction. However, in 2024, Lisa Boo had mentioned it. Netflix had announced the release of a new documentary about the case titled Manhattan Alien Abduction. The series will feature new interviews with Linda Napolitano in an attempt to explain what really happened on the cold November night in 1989. So, guys, what do you believe her? I know some of us have already kind of mentioned in the chat that we don't. What are your thoughts on this? Do you think she was abducted, or do you think she was trying to cover up for something, or just wanted the attention? And the article mentioned 23 witnesses, but not one of them. There were no like quotes in the article with these 23 witnesses at 3 a.m. on a Thursday. A lot of people aren't up at 3 a.m. on a Thursday. Except for two people, which they were security guards that happened to see it. Dusty goes, maybe Waterworld people from a future generation. Curious Potatoes goes, a lot of UFO sightings happen near airports. They also happen in the desert as well, I've noticed. Wendy is seeing the blackened hood spirit present at the end of her bed. If you're seeing that, do not engage in that, Wendy. I'm not sure if you're feeling like a bad vibe from that, because that does sound like something evil to me. Use whatever you use. Sage. If you're religious, use one of your religious symbols. That is kind of that is kind of scary, Wendy. If that's what you're seeing, that would scare the crap out of me. Wendy goes, I've always have. And then Heather Whatever kind of gave, if you are religious like that, Heather Whatever did give some advice to you, Wendy. I'm not religious. I'm more of a spiritual type of person. So I would do more probably sage. More sage, herbal, type of things, crystals. But if you're seeing that, Wendy, definitely do something to protect you, because it might, if it's not doing something now, it may do something later. That is kind of scary. Lisa Boo goes, ominous. Yes. Dusty Lane goes, garlic. Daniel, I don't think, honestly, I believe Wendy. I don't think it's what, like, maybe what these people in the story might have been doing, or whatever else they've been trying to cover up. Wendy goes, I've only seen it once. It was my ex-husband's father. He died at age 35. Oh, maybe, I mean, if it's a spirit, then maybe it's not that bad. But the way you described it was like it was demonic or something. If that's the case, maybe Oh, it's your ex-husband's father, huh? And you only saw it once, so okay, then you're okay, Wendy, but that's scary. And that is super young to pass too. Super sad. I know I had spoke about, the White House being haunted. I did find an article about I know we just I'm not much into political, but this does involve ghosts. Behind the ghost stories of the US Capitol. I love ghost stories. I like to hear what places are haunted. I don't dismiss any place. They very well may be haunted, even if you don't have an experience, because ghosts do not work on cue. When you do investigate, I've never been on an official ghost hunt, but I do know it's not. By hearing other people, I do know it's not what you see on TV. Kind of boring in some ways. You may not catch something, but I do find it fascinating. Reading the history of older places, um, what people may have experienced, the folklore. I love folklore the best. The legends. The U.S. Capitol is home to fiery debates, stormy hearings, and regular protests, but is the global symbol of democracy also home to ghosts? A Philadelphia newspaper once called the Capitol the most thoroughly haunted building in the world. I wouldn't think it was not haunted. One such example can be found in 1890. There was a bitter feud between journalist Charles Kincaid and Kentucky Congressman William Toolby after Kincaid revealed that Toolby was having an affair. Toolby repeatedly harassed the reporter. He would rough him up. He would push him into walls. He would tweak his ears, make him bow before him through physical altercation until eventually Kincaid had enough and protested this abuse, said Capitol Historical Society Executive Vice President Samuel Holliday. One day, as Talbu or Talby was descending a set of stairs in the Capitol. Kincaid pew-pewed him in the head. Bloodstains are still visible in the staircase at the Capitol where he was pew-pewed. Whoa, that is creepy. It's generally encountered that if members of the press corps are taking that set of stairs, they take their time very carefully, Holliday said. A quick trip over to the Senate side of the Capitol shows some concrete evidence of the Capitol's haunted past. The demon cat. It's gargantuan in size with glowing red eyes, and it stalks its victims through the Capitol, Holliday said. The cat supposedly left behind its paw prints in the small Senate rotunda. Legend has it that the four-legged creatures appeared before impending tragedies such as the stock market crash of 1929, the attack on Pearl Harbor, December 7th, 1941, and the assassination, or the A, YouTube, you didn't hear me say that word, the A of President Abraham Lincoln and John F. Kennedy. That's not the only spooky presidential connection to the Capitol. I have one colleague who claims to have seen a former President John Quincy Jones or Adams. I don't know why I said Jones. Here in Statuary Hall himself, Holliday said, Quincy Adams standing up as if to give that final floor speech that was robbed from him by a stroke. After serving as president, John Quincy Adams became a member of Congress. He was known for giving impassioned speeches. His final one ended in a roaring no before he collapsed. Now, several employees claim to hear his final decree erupt in the halls outside the House floor. Holliday says stories like these have a more down to earth purpose. We really feel that people sometimes turn to ghost stories because they have this connection to history. It's a way of restoring the humanity of what sometimes feels like a cold and distant history, Holliday said. So that I don't know about that one, but I like the one with the cat. And he said the cat appears when there's impending doom, kind of, I guess, with the stock market crash, Pearl Harbor, That one's kind of interesting. I wonder if anyone's actually experienced that. That's kind of crazy. But I don't, like I said earlier, I don't dismiss that. The Capitol, I believe it's haunted. It's been around for a long time. There's a lot of stuff that has happened there. So I wouldn't dismiss it as not being haunted. Daniel Miles goes, I believe at some point everybody gets scared. I'm sure of it. Curious Potato, I must admit I wouldn't go ghost hunting by myself. I don't think I would either. Because say like you have permission to go on this property and it's like the witching hour. So like 3 in the morning, 2 in the morning, and you hear a noise, and this area is known for, maybe like the homeless or something. You never know if it's a homeless person inside the building, because or that could hurt you, you know what I mean? So I would never want to do something like that by myself. So yeah, I'm right with you, Curious Potato. Daniel, I agree with you. Just the excitement of being on a ghost hunt, whether it happens or not, would be good enough. Yeah, because you're at this place that's known for, and you've read the stories, and you've read the legends, and you're there. That excitement. Yes, Daniel, for sure. Definitely. I wouldn't care. I think I'd be more excited because I love the history about lands and the buildings. And I mean, it's a bad thing to know that, because then you're gonna assume like something you saw was like the lady in red or the lady in white, which we typically hear in stories, or the story say like if you're in the area where La Llorona is at, you know what I mean? You would you know the story. You're gonna, if you hear her crying, you're gonna automatically think it's her looking for her hijos. You know what I mean? So sometimes it's a bad thing to know the story, but that's what I like about, you know, reading about buildings, because especially an old one, especially when someone claims that they've had an experience, and or they're the legend that started way back in 1800s that we now that people have said they think is real because they've experienced. I find that fascinating. Dusty goes, I would believe the White House is haunted. I did talk about the White House in a previous stream. I'm not sure which one. But they said that Abraham Lincoln is haunting. They smell lavender because I think one of the uh first ladies did laundry in one of the rooms, and she used lavender scented laundry soap. So they would smell lavender just out of odd things. They would hear music out of just random music, like what the hell is, where is that coming from, type of thing. So I believe the White House is as well. Wendy goes, I will do the filming with Lisa Bernadette. I just don't want to take anything attached. Heather, whatever goes, I wouldn't know John Quincy Adams if I saw him. Me too. I mean, even if I was walking through the Capitol, I know of some of this. I mean, Abraham Lincoln's probably the most notable one I probably would remember, and if I saw him, I would know. But I'm right with you with Heather. Whatever, I'm right with you, John. I would not know maybe some of the people that they were talking about unless I saw a picture. Then I'll be like, oh my god, that was him. But so some of these articles I had came out last month, and I just never shared them. Because last month was spooky month, so there was so many articles, so I kind of just kept for later. Dusty, that's very true. But I don't think very true, she said, but these guys would be period dressed. I would know that it was a ghost, but I wouldn't know who it was. Because true, they would be wearing like Victorian style clothing. They wouldn't be wearing clothing like or even that, maybe even older clothing. You never know. So this one is in Tombstone, Arizona, and it's a I believe it's in Tombstone, Arizona. It goes a grab and ghost is Tombstone's abandoned Circle K haunted. At the town's former Circle K, people have witnessed strange voices and the doors that open without anyone there. I don't know why a ghost would haunt a Circle K, but maybe there's something that was there prior to the Circle K. Daniel goes, they would have a Metallica shirt on. So Tombstone, Arizona, I have had the chance to go to Tombstone, Arizona, a town too tough to die. Amazing place. I think I went right before I went into high school. It was the summer between maybe it was before that. The summer between junior high school, maybe. It was the summer between 6th and 7th grade. I might have gone, but I remember it was hot because we went in the summer, but I remember walking through Tombstone. I would love to go back. I had so much fun with the OK Corral, Wyatt Earp, Doc Holliday, all even like the movies. In the Wild West town of Tombstone, history and legend sometimes blur together. I believe Tombstone is haunted. They do say the Birdcage Theater is haunted there. Obviously, there is the cemetery as well that I think they had mentioned. I don't remember the other ones because it's been a while since I've been there. I remember having a shirt and I would wear it everywhere because I loved that shirt. It is a place where visitors can walk in the footsteps of Wyatt Earp and see the famous gunfight or pew pew fight at the OK Corral, or at least a reenactment done 3 times a day. On the outskirts of the old mining town, there is a lesser known haunted relic of Tombstone's not too distant past, a boarded up building where restless spirits of outlaws and drifters are still believed to wander. The town's former Circle K may be the most haunted convenience store or former convenience store in America. Dwight and Rhonda Hull feel small vibrations when they stand atop the old C-store's cracked parking lot, now overgrown with weeds. The husband and wife are authors and psychic mediums with more than 50 years of combined experience investigating the paranormal phenomenon beyond the scope of normal scientific understanding. That's the beautiful part of the paranormal, because you go into a place like this, some places like a Circle K. Wait a minute, Circle K wasn't around during Wyatt Earp's time, because if a Circle K popped up during Wyatt Earp's time, they would think you were the devil or something. You were doing devil work. Imagine, hey Wyatt, you want an icy? Like Wyatt would be like, what is this work of devilry? So it's kind of weird that a Circle K would be haunted, but we don't know what was on the land before that. And in your mind, you think, well, how can that be haunted? It's a business. It's a bustling with people. This particular Circle K is incredibly haunted, Dwight said. The store closed years ago when a large one was built across the road on West Bruce Street, but Dwight said there's still plenty of paranormal activity at the original store. The night manager used to be his neighbor. She was experiencing the doors on the freezer and refrigerators opening by themselves. Dwight said she would hear voices at night when there has been nobody in there. She would hear footsteps when nobody was in there as well. Dwight was called in to investigate during the 90s. He tried to rule out the obvious. I tried opening the front door to the building to see if the pressure differential would open the doors in the back. Nope, that didn't work, Dwight said. I tried opening the back door, the exit door, and everything else to see if I could create some kind of section. That didn't work. He conducted several EVP sessions, which is electronic voice phenomenon, a common tactic among paranormal investigators to record voices of the dead, which are often too faint for mortal ears. Dwight said he heard several spirits when he played back the tape. Some of them said, I'm here. Some of them said cold. Some of them said leave here. And I got one that was super clear that said mine, my place. Dwight remembers. It was that one that made the night manager immediately the next day ask if she could be put on day shift. So why would spirits want to haunt a convenience store? Yes, I want to know, because it's a Circle K. One theory is that the former gas station was built on top of an old cemetery, something straight out of Poltergeist. I'm going to go down a rabbit hole with Poltergeist. Let me finish this article, but there's a Poltergeist rabbit hole. The story around town is that construction workers found human remains when they were digging fuel tanks and had to call in archaeologists from the University of Arizona to handle the bones. 12 News reached out to the U of A's repatriation office, which oversees the disturbance of human remains on state and private lands in Arizona. It is the agency construction crews are required by law to call when they discover possible archaeological remains, those that appear to be more than 50 years old. The office has no record of human remains being discovered at the property. Remains were found in Tombstone in 1998, but nowhere near the Circle K. The Holes remains convinced the property is part of the old Boot Hill Graveyard, another place in Tombstone where fact and fiction are interwoven. And as a tourist site, it's probably Arizona's most commercially successful burial ground. The Tombstone Chamber Conference described it as a place where cowboys who died with their boots on lied next to housewives, businessmen and women, miners, gamblers, ladies of the red light district, and all the famous and not so famous occupants that contributed to Tombstone's early history. Dwight argues it would have been easy to build over the cemetery since many of the headstones were not actually made of stone, but rather wood, which rotted. This used to be a place where loved ones could come and visit them or visit their mortal remains once they were buried, Dwight said. Once that was taken away and the markers were gone and there was a pavement parking lot over it, they were forgotten, and a lot of them didn't want to be forgotten, apparently. Maybe that's why the device Rhonda and Dwight brought with them started to beep. Whenever an electronic magnetic energy, even a human, if they get too close to the antenna, it will go off without touching it. Dwight said, since our spirits are energy, that is the theory behind it. The round box with the telescoping antenna on top of it. I was going to say it's a REM pod. It's called a REM pod. The Holes set the device in different areas around the property and stood several feet away. A REM pod is a device I do want to purchase. I've never used it. I've seen Jack use it. Jack Osborne use it. I think I've seen ghost hunters use it. And some other people have also used it as well. You just have to touch that antenna, the thing sticking up from the box. Rhonda told any spirit who may be nearby. The device immediately chirped. Do it again really quick, Dwight said. There was silence, so Dwight moved the REM pod closer to the store's entrance. A few minutes later, it started to beep again. Thank you, Wendy, for being a member of the Wolf Pack for 14 months. Hearts for Wendy, guys. My spooky friend. Thank you, Wendy. I appreciate the support. Curious Potato goes, yep, old West towns have a reputation of being haunted. Definitely, because there was a lot of death in the Old West. I hate to say it. Because obviously from sickness, because they weren't medically advanced like we are today. So a lot of people died from infection, from diseases that no longer exist because now we have vaccines. Though I noticed some of them are coming back. Also, too, I don't think people were as clean back then as we are now as well. So, yeah. Whether or not a spirit was behind the beeps, the town of Tombstone will always be tied to ghosts and hauntings. It is a town too tough to die, and that is their motto. All the death, that ruckus, the gambling, the high energy of the mining and the gambling and the prostitution and what they called having a body of breakfast. Having a body for breakfast during morning, meaning someone got killed mostly every day here. It was a very violent town, Dwight said. It was a very active town, so that builds up the energy and it just doesn't go away. It still stays and permeates even the buildings that are still out here today. Oh, by the way, the Circle K is for sale. The spirits may convey the building. So if you guys ever want a haunted convenience store that's in Tombstone, Arizona, it is up for sale. Wendy, thank you for that generous super chat. Hearts for Wendy, guys. You're awesome. Food fun. Happy birthday, my fave, Ellen L. Thank you, Wendy. You're amazing. I gotta do. Well, hold on. Thank you, Wendy. You're awesome. Hearts for Wendy, guys. Daniel goes, so if you think about the planets, did they used to have life as they all are they all be super hot? You know what? I never thought of that, Daniel. That's a good question. Curious Potato for sure. Tombstone is a legendary town. If you guys ever are in Arizona, check out Tombstone. I want to go back. I had so much fun. It'd be cool to see it older now. But it is a lot of history. Especially now because I'm into the paranormal. It'd be cool to go back to tour it again and check out the Birdcage Theater. The cemetery. I think the cemetery is called Boot Hill. It'd be cool to see that. Since they mentioned Poltergeist. I don't think it's I know I had mentioned that the actual house that was used in the movie Poltergeist went up for sale. It was the first time ever that had gone up for sale. I'm assuming that the family that had lived there, they might have been empty nesters or maybe they passed away. I don't know. But it's the first time it has gone up for sale. Someone else has bought the house. They are now claiming that they've had they've had experiences in that house. So we got the most hated paranormal investigator known to man. The only reason why I say it because a lot of people hate him. And this is where I saw. This is my rabbit hole. This is where I saw because he had posted on Instagram. I don't think it's haunted. When I heard this headline, I was like, no, it is not haunted. There's no way it's haunted. I know there's also I've also mentioned that the set of Poltergeist was riddled with a curse, some people say, because of things that had happened there. I mean, they did use live skeletons for the pool scene, if you guys aren't familiar with that. The main actress, she passed away at 12. They never finished. I don't think they finished the third one. I think she had passed away during the third one. The preacher in the second one, he was actually suffering from cancer, and that's the reason why he looked that way. I think he passed away maybe a couple of months after or before it was released or something like that, if I'm not mistaken, or after it finished filming. That preacher was creepy. But the Poltergeist house is going to be their next investigation. He does own the clown from Poltergeist. He is afraid of clowns, so he has a bunch of clowns. Don't ask me why. I'm not afraid of clowns. I would love to have that clown. That would be badass. He's planning on Zach Bagans is planning on taking Ghost Adventure team to the famous Poltergeist house for the next in-person investigation. TMZ learned the paranormal expert tells TMZ his team will be heading to Simi Valley, California, home which was featured heavily in the horror classic in mid-November with plans to investigate some of the spookier aspects of the abode. Honestly, like I said, I don't think the house is haunted. Zach says their preliminary research shows the new owner got badly affected by something from inside the house and that the homeowner specifically reached out to them in the hopes of getting answers. I don't think it's haunted. The homeowner could be one of those people that they're into the paranormal. Maybe they want, I don't know, like when you have someone film at your house, if they have to pay you to film at the house, and just considering that they just bought the house, maybe they made up the story to help pay for the house. I don't know how that works. I'm just talking. I'm not 100% sure. It's just my opinion. I don't know. I don't believe it's haunted. Even though, yes, the set was riddled with, curses, as they say, I still don't think this house is haunted. Zach and his team will be the first paranormal experts ever to investigate the house, which hit the market for the first time in 45 years this summer. Because honestly, excuse me, if there was stuff happening, why didn't the previous owner, who owned the house for 45 years, say anything? According to the Ghost Adventure star, the new owner from Los Gatos, who hopes to transform the house into an Airbnb. So it's a person that wants to make money off of the house. Replicating the 1982 film told him they suffered from 2 separate dizzy spells while inside the home. Zach says the homeowner also told him that they had a bad feeling, nausea, chills, and a pulling sensation at the property despite having no health issues. Apparently, things got so bad at one point the owner had to sit down on the staircase before feeling normal again. Zach says he also spoke with a family member tied to the previous owner who revealed multiple relatives passed away in the home, including an uncle and a grandfather. That happens. So I would not dismiss that. That does happen in homes a lot of times. For those unfamiliar with the Poltergeist franchise, many believe it to be cursed following the premature deaths of star Heather O'Rourke. And Dominic Dunn, I forgot to mention Dominic Dunn. She was, I don't want to say exactly what happened because YouTube might shut me down, but she was unalived by her boyfriend at the time. Despite all that, Zach makes it clear he isn't going into the investigation with any preconceived notions about the house being haunted. He adds, but the fact there has been at least 2 deaths and the house was used extensively for a film with a very notorious curse attached to it does call for an investigation to see if the new owner's claims can be substantiated with paranormal evidence through the use of scientific equipment. Zach also plans to bring the film's original clown doll, which he acquired for a whopping $80K back in 2020. Honestly, I think it would make a great episode, but like with most of those shows, I believe they do add stuff. I'm not saying that they all do, but I do believe a lot of them add stuff because people aren't going to watch unless it's interesting. And to stay on, you have to have ratings. So again, I what do you guys think? Do you think that house is haunted? I personally don't. Obviously the owner is going to try to turn it into an Airbnb. With the Poltergeist theme. So they're going to try to make money for it. I think this is a money thing, honestly. So Matthew goes, it had the same owner since before the film, so not haunted unless those owners started haunting it. Exactly. It did mention deaths. I do believe that happens in any house. So I do think that is a possibility. Bernadette, I'll get to your story in a second. Wendy, I don't like clowns. Julissa goes, the sequels are not good. I liked 1 and 2. I didn't care too much for 3. It is interesting to watch, but I felt like 3. By 3, it was kind of like the story was like going like this. Because now it was with the aunts and uncle, and in a hotel, a high-tech hotel. The second one I liked because of the preacher. He was crazy looking. When I was a kid, I didn't know he was suffering from cancer. Older, that's when I found out, and I was like, oh, that's why he looked like that. But it made the character. Matthew, just don't make it another exactly. So Bernadette, hold on. Matthew goes, the living room is called the living room because that is where people stayed in when they had a wake in their homes. Yeah, in the past, people would have the wake and the funeral in their homes. So, I mean, and I know a lot of people have passed in their sleep in the house. So I don't dismiss that. Wendy goes, my log cabin is haunted, but we topped renovations and it stopped. Dusty goes, yes, it sounds like it's money oriented. Julissa goes, it's not haunted in my opinion. So Bernadette goes, so my roommate just came home from work and he knocked on my door and asked me, why is there a black cat in the house in the hallway? I said, what black cat? So I went to see what he was talking about. And he said it was just right there looking at me. So I grabbed my EMF reader and yep, it spiked to red, then went down to yellow. He said he finally believes this house is haunted. I'm like, I told your pinche ass. How many, Bernadette, out of curiosity, how many experiences has he had prior to this where he didn't believe and now he does? I'm just curious, Bernadette. That is crazy. Curious Potato goes, the first Poltergeist movie was directed by the guy who did Texas Chainsaw. I think it was Poltergeist. Poltergeist director. Yeah, it was Toby Hooper. And it was a black cat. Dun dun dun. I like black cats though. I don't think black cats are evil. Even though they kind of in the movies they represent them as being evil. But I don't think they are. I've had a black cat and they're amazing. Bernadette says her roommate has had 3 experiences, but he said it was the wind or he just shrugged his shoulders and was like, meh. This time it's because he physically saw a cat and that's what made him go, yes, it's haunted. That is crazy. All right, guys, I am going to open it up for questions. If you guys have any questions, I'll give you a few minutes to look for Skeledeck. And I feel like black cats have that stigmatism to them where people would not adopt a black cat. So I feel sad for black cats sometimes, but I know but because of that, and they're also witchcraft. They're also connected to witchcraft. But black cats are the nicest cats. I mean, I don't know whose cat it is. I guess I named him Ferdinand because I see him all the time. I was like, Ferdinand! He's like this big, bushy black cat that comes around somewhere in my front yard. Beautiful cat. And I don't know who owns him. I don't know if he's a stray or somebody actually owns him. But he is so beautiful when you see him walking and sitting there. He looks like a ghost, actually. Bernadette goes, yep, his face was like, what the F did I just see? Bernadette goes, he said he heard the cat nails on the floor just like I heard that one time ago following me to the bathroom. Dang! So whatever it is, it didn't show itself to you, Bernadette, but decided to show himself to your roommate. Weird. Carol said I found him a while ago. Curious Potato goes, there's loads of black cats around, so any superstition seems redundant. I mean, sometimes they'll put because of Halloween, people will grab black cats, and there's people that fear for them. I've never personally seen anything happen with a black cat, but Dusty goes, I had a very loving black Siamese on the mainland. Heather, whatever goes, there are more black cats that aren't adopted from shelters. Bernadette is happy that now her roommate admits that their place is haunted. Daniel goes, never let a black cat cross in front of you. I let them do that all the time. I think that's just superstition to me. I hate that black cats don't get adopted as much. I love all cats. Same here. But that's crazy that he actually saw just a black cat just there staring at him. I mean, obviously it's not it's not evil or anything. It's just a cat. Lisa Bugo's always superstitious about black cats, but I love them anyways. Daniel, that is cool. I just built a picture frame with a tablet to put on 4K cat TV for my new kitty. That is cool, Daniel. Bernadette goes, I wish I could have taken a video of his face. Carol's putting lights on the candle. I had to remake and listening to you and looking for the duck and watching TV. Curious goes, if a black true, curious potato, if a black cat is a witch's familiar, I think you'll know. True. All right, guys, I know most of you probably know where Skeleduck is, but Skeleduck is right above me next to the pumpkin. He's in between. He's right next to the alien and Elvis, I think his name is, and then the Michael Myers mask. So he's right there, right kind of above me. Right next to the pumpkin where my finger's pointed. Right there. Also, want to give a shout out to Heather Whatever for the PayPal. Heather Whatever goes tofu turkey fund if you do that. Thank you, Heather Whatever. I appreciate that. Hearts for Heather Whatever, guys. Now I think I know why when I bought these glasses, they were saying, do you do a lot of reading? Or if you're on the computer a lot, because now I've noticed like with these glasses on, my phone looks like the writing on my phone looks super tiny. All right, guys, any last minute questions before I end this stream? All right, Bernadette, I'll share it on my next stream. Thank you, Lisa Boo. I appreciate it. Thank you, Lisa. Been a great show. Daniel, I appreciate that your kitty likes when I mix. Thank you, Daniel. Thank you, Joanne. Wendy goes, I feel the struggle, Lisa. I can read without my glasses on. I just can't read with them on. If that makes any sense. All right, guys, without further ado, I am going to end the stream here. Thank you for joining me tonight on this edition of Grayson Report. Catch me on the next one, which will be, I almost forgot what day it was, Saturday at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Be there, be squared, stay spooky, guys, and sweet nightmares, and I will see you on the next one. Good night, and have a great rest of your week. Good night, guys. See you on the next one. And thank you.